This New Year's hottest online trend is something called the 2016 Challenge. It invites us to share photos or videos of us from 10 years ago to see how we've changed or haven't. Seems like some harmless fun, but for those whose motives are far from harmless, this challenge is a goldmine of information. Carmi Levy is a tech analyst. Thanks so much for joining us today, Carmi.
Good to be with you, Mitsumi. Thanks for having me.
So what kind of information can be found in these photos and videos that people are sharing?
I think what's so frightening about this is that it seems so normal, right? You know, there's everyday pictures of you in your home, at your work, outside, but it's what's behind you, it's what's around you that can give you away. You're standing on your porch and your street address is over your shoulder. You're standing at your desk at home or at work, and there are a bunch of papers, maybe even a credit card there. Someone can zoom in, get some information on it. You're standing in front of your car. The license plate gives people information that can then be used against you. Or even something as simple as clothing. There could be a logo that also has identifying information. Or at the beginning of the school year, we post those chalkboards of our kids, huge amounts of private information that we're just giving away. And we think it's not that big of a deal, but of course, in the hands of someone who will do you wrong, doesn't have your best interest at heart, they can combine that with other forms of information and then use it against you in ways that you probably don't really want to think about.
So how could this information be used then?
So, you know, that information is personal or private identifiable information can be used to launch what's called an identity theft attack. And so normally, like if you get a message and they address you by name, and it includes, for example, maybe the last four digits of your credit card number and other personal information, you're more likely to think that it's legitimate, that it's actually coming from your bank or from your insurance company or your kid's school because it has that information. And so the more personal it is, the more likely it is that this non-legitimate message is going to trick you into clicking on that link or following through on what it asks you to do, which of course at that point, it gets you into trouble. Also, those questions, you know, what school did you go to? Who was your favorite teacher? What street did you grow up on? Those are so-called challenge questions, and those are often used in order to recycle your password. In the wrong hands, that information can be used to allow a perpetrator, a cyber criminal, a fraudster to sign into your accounts on your behalf, and we know what happens then.
We're also hearing that these before and after images are especially helpful for AI developers. How's that?
So when I take a photo of you or you share it online, there's lots of information in that photo that we're not aware of. And so it trains. And so if you post it online, it can be used by a platform to train itself on facial recognition. The more photos you share, the more information they have to be able to identify you. So if you're sharing photos from now and from 10 years ago, you're essentially giving that AI platform even more information on you. What did I look like 10 years ago? Different lighting, different angles, different conditions, and that simply trains it better so that even when the photo isn't something that you shared for this purpose, even if they found it randomly online, now they have the information to identify you, whereas if you hadn't shared all those photos, old and new, they probably would have had a harder time identifying you.
Now, obviously, there's no point in telling people to stop sharing all this information because they're going to do it anyway. So is there a safe or a safer way to share information?
There is. We have to think in terms of digital footprint. How much information are we leaving out there and pulling that back, sharing less? So look at your social media accounts and ask yourself, do I really need a network this large? Do I have that many friends? Or can I start pulling it back? Many of the people who we're connected with on social media aren't legitimate, and that's part of the problem. We can go into the settings. So there are privacy settings that we can also triage back so that when you share something on social media, it reaches fewer people. It only reaches people that you know in your network, and it's more difficult for it to be shared beyond that. And so if we start thinking about, you know, where is this going to go before we share it, we can start limiting where that information goes. And we can't eliminate the risk completely, but we can certainly reduce it by having a smaller digital footprint.
So at the end of the day, Carmi, is there really anything such as a private exchange in an online platform?
I wish I could say that, Mitsumi, but the internet, as we know, is not private. And even if you set your account to private, there's nothing stopping someone, for example, from screen grabbing or cutting and pasting that information, putting it somewhere else, and sharing it with a wider audience. So and we also need to recognize the internet doesn't have a delete button. So before you share anything, ask yourself, if this gets out in public beyond my initial network, would that be a concern? And then maybe don't share it at all, because no, the internet not private at all, and people get caught thinking, what, no one would be interested in me. The reality is they are, and new victims are being created every day.
It's very useful information, Carmi. Thank you so much for this.
Appreciate it, Mitsumi.